Welcome to the 23rd episode of Sawdust Nation with AJ, who's myself from Crafted and NJ, and Josh, who is staring at me with a big smile on his face because he's so happy to be here right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's from North Country Woodworking. So I wanted to start this episode off by introducing us a little bit different, but of course I didn't. But anyway, I want to know, we see it on your stories, on your posts, stuff that goes on in your shop. And it seems like this past week has been, the machines against humanity because, your machines, with the laser going bad, not the laser itself, but, the belts being tensioned a little bit too much, too little, not right. Now I see something happen with your CNC. So I'm wondering what's going in your shop because you've been having some, issues come about. So what's happening in your shop, sir?
Well, I want to kind of speak quietly because my 3D printer is off to my right, and I don't want them to know that I know they're rebelling.
Yeah, definitely. But, go unplug it now. Unplug it.
It's staring at me. I should put little googly eyes on there so every time I do the podcast.
Oh my God.
So, okay. A lot of this is probably user error. I guarantee it is because, a lot of these machines, I haven't had them more than like months, and I'm learning as I go. So grant me that. The laser, we all know I tightened it too much. I found the right tightness. There's still some adjusting that needs to be done. I did some laser engraving and smaller images are fairly well done, but the larger you get a little bit of wobble, which is not really noticeable, but I know it's there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important.
Do you know why it's wobbling on a larger piece and not something smaller?
Well, it's probably one of the vectors in a certain area, and I have to figure that out. I'm probably going to do a cardboard down and then do circles, and then have it do the circles, and I'll know where in the grid it is messing up.
Okay.
And then I can kind of pinpoint more and more. I mean, right now it's perfect enough for me to do engravings and get the job done. But I want that, tuned enough where no matter where I put that laser, it's going to work properly. So it's a learning curve. Going to my X-Carve from Inventables. Now that gave me a little bit of a scare this last week. So as you guys know, I'm doing a coin holder flag and I wanted to do it on the CNC. So what I did is I threw up some MDF on it and I wanted to do a smaller flag to test it out. Because I'm going to use two different bits. I was going to do a clearance pass and go back with a V-bit. And I wanted to ensure the stars look good, the stripes look good. And the layout of everything was going to be appropriate for what I wanted to do on the ash slab that I'm going to throw on there. So I'm out there doing other projects and I look and it's getting pretty close to me having to change out the bit. So, I'm keeping an eye on it. I think there was I want to say 10 or 15 minutes left. And I see it just sitting there. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And the program says it's done, but it didn't clear out everything that the toolpath said it was going to. So I'm like, okay, maybe the cable got wiggled. It's very possible. I had my son in the shop. A lot of different things could happen.
Yeah.
Close it out. I brought it back to the home position where I started. And I go through the steps and I said last position for X and Y. Now, the last position X and Y, as far as I know, uses the X and Y position that you started at. The same depth, the same, X0, the same Y0. And I push carve. And it moves like 2 inches, maybe an inch and a half, and just plunges down into the board. And I think it plunged down enough where it tilted the actual Z mount with the router in it. And that's where the belt broke. I was able to stop it before it plunged down and broke the bit. But when that belt broke, I had to use a wrench to get up the Z-axis and then, look at the bit, make sure it wasn't damaged. And then obviously the belt was broken. I went on Amazon, I picked up some more belts. But yeah, so that should be fixed. I'm not sure exactly why that happened. Next time I'll start from my Mark 0 and then go ahead and do it that way. So if using last position, I'm going to do some more reading up on that to better understand what that means. It's very possible that I misinterpreted because I've been using it the same way. And because it stopped the way it did, maybe it was wanting to start from that position that it started at, which makes no sense because when you exit out of the program, once it's done, ask you to save some settings, it goes back to the X and Y 0. So if that was the case, then, the program messed up. Either or, I'm going to do some experimenting. and figure it out.
Now, I know from my past experiences and close calls with my Millwright Mega V, man, that thing, if I hit like return to zero or if I didn't set it right and I hit the wrong button, I would have it do these crazy things like a plunge. I had it plunge down deep one time. I had it, plunge down and then scrape along the whole piece. Luckily, I didn't break anything. I caught it in time, pushed the power button, the big red power button, that thing, I slammed it. So,
Yeah.
One thing that I learned was, as I talked to a lot of people on the forums, I don't know if it's the same. I'm guessing it's the same thing. Apparently CNCs, all use kind of the same coordinates. And if you did you ever set it to because you have a 90-degree spot where you put your piece each time, right? You don't, on a corner?
Yeah, I actually made myself a little bracket in the 3D printer so I can line up any of my square items to that corner each time. My X and Y should remain the same.
I know with mine, I don't have that set. And I know when I was talking to a few people, they said that this code, you have to go into the home. Of course, different programs we're using to send our G codes. But in my G code sender, that I have to set it to this coordinate so it knows, okay, this is my X and this is my Y zero. And then you have to zero your Z. I don't have that set because I don't have a corner that I can always reference off of because my pieces are, sometimes larger than the bed of the machine. So I can't really utilize that. But if I know, I've gotten down to the science of, okay, I hit these buttons, these few buttons, and don't touch anything else. And I haven't had any issues because I know it works. So I'm wondering if what we would interpret as, resume from last position was, okay, it stopped here. This is my last position. You would almost think it would just continue the carve. But in CNC world, that could just mean something completely different. And who knows, it could mean plunge down all the way and then move,
Absolutely. I mean, this is a new program for me. I'm learning as I go. This is another reason why I was doing a test carve for this. So, I mean, I learned a lot just by that one mistake. I still got to do some reading, figure out exactly what I did wrong. There's two options. As you go through with easel, you push carve. It confirms thickness. You move on to the next window. It will confirm that it's secure. You confirm that. You go to the next window, and it will actually confirm which bit you're using, if it's the correct bit chosen. And then it goes to the Z-axis. You can manually do it, or you can use the probe. Now, for the first carve, I did the probe to get that Z-axis done. And then if you do the manual option, you manually set the Z, the X, and Y to wherever. But there's also an option to say use last X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
That was you started off from. That's my assumption, is that you started the program off from last time. And I've used that before, and that's how it functioned just fine. So that's what I went down the road. I already did all the calculating and where I wanted it, X, Y, Z. And I figured if I use that, I could just start it over. I was going to speed through the first, 3/4 of it by ramping it up, because there's an option to use feed rate plus or minus. And I was going to just throw it up there really high. And it was going to, pretend to carve where it's already been carved. And then when it got close to where it stopped, I was going to ramp it back down to the appropriate setting so it could finish. And that happened. So I'm going to go on the forums. I got to figure that out. I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
So with that, I am on hold until the belts come in. And I already notified the customer. They're fine with it. They understand. So I'm grateful that they're understanding, and I can get that knocked out when I get the belt.
Nice.
Besides that, I got the Christmas Eve plate done. It's been carved, oiled, and delivered. They picked it up. I should say they picked it up today. They really liked it. They had nothing but compliments to say about it. I finished the patch in the shelf. I actually sent you a picture before everyone else.
Looks good.
Yeah, and I'm really proud of that. So they'll be picking that up, I believe, Monday.
Nice.
Being my first true sign, when I say sign, cut out, piece back together, because I painted them separately. It was a different process than I thought it was. I definitely ran into some things I didn't expect. I'll get into that on another episode, but moving on to projects wise, those three are the major ones that I had. So right now in the shop that needs to be completed is the flag. I just got an order in for a custom cutting board with a team logo on there and name. So I'll be making that up and shipping that off to Florida. And then I had some inquiries about some end tables with a logo on top, and that'll be shipped off to Rhode Island if they say yes. And of course, I've had other people asking different things here and there about, what I could do and whatnot. Had nothing bite so far, but I'm getting to that time where I'm going to start, saying that would be after Christmas, after the holidays. Because I don't want too much in the shop just before the holidays and have to be working out there Christmas Eve. And that's basically where I sit with all that. There are other projects coming up as well. Ginger Woodworks reached out and actually ordered 3 sander holders for his Festool sanders, similar to what I have for my Dewalt one. So I am currently trying to set those up and print those. I have a nice green filament ready to go with those. More than a designing phase right now and making sure they're going to fit. As I don't have a Festool sander, it's a little difficult. I just got to go off measurements and basically what I could find online. So yeah, that's exciting because that's actually my first order off the 3D printer. It's a pretty big deal to me. I can't wait to get that out and send that to him. What else do I got going on? So I went off to Home Depot today. I was going to go to Lowe's, but something brought me to Home Depot. I originally went out to go grab some more stain for the current patch project I was doing because I wanted to do a nice walnut color for the background because I'm using birch plywood for the background, and I wanted a dark color to kind of offset the black patch and, the white lettering. And I thought it would be a nice rich color for the background.
Yeah.
So as I'm going to Lowe's, something happened. I just kept going, and I went to the big orange store. I walk in and I go down to the stain aisle and I'm looking at Varathane.
Telling you.
I picked myself up some Varathane, and I got the oil base because there was absolutely no water base there. There was only polyurethane water base.
Yep.
I don't know if it was in a different location, which wouldn't make sense, or I had to order online for that. I would have to go contact their sponsor for Varathane, the one I'm looking at now.
Yeah, I wish.
But, it was great stuff. I'll have to say, it went on pretty easy. I just wiped it off, and it was one and done. I got the Professional, I think it's called, stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the oil
yeah.
base. Yeah, it dries an hour. It was dry an hour. I could not believe it. I was able to use Starbond adhesive, CA glue, the medium black and brown, with some Type Bond quick and thick to glue on the pieces. And then when I went to the white lettering, that's where I used the medium black to glue on the lettering because it was a black background anyway, so it would blend in if anything squeezed out. That worked out really well. The 2 glues worked really well together. What I do is I do the middle portion with the quick and thick, and then near the rim, I put the CA glue and then, spray down where I'm going to put it. And it locks it into place. I don't have to worry about it moving on me, and I can move on to the next piece.
Nice.
And to clean up any of the glue, it would dry clear.
Yeah.
But I use a straw to pick it up. It came together fairly nice.
That's good.
Meanwhile, waiting for things to dry and stuff like that, I set the pace in the shop a little high, and I got some cutting boards roughed out, basically ready to be shaped a little bit more. I was able to drill holes in the handles and some of the designs and stuff like that. But I got 13, I'll call them blanks, 13 cutting board blanks. A majority of them will have a lot of work. There's about 5 that just basically need some good sanding, and then they'll be pretty much ready for oil. Obviously going to pop the grain and whatnot, but they'll be ready for oil in no time.
Nice. Okay. Josh is trying to read his notes.
Yeah. So if you don't know, I have a page full of notes that is a bunch of scribble, and I should have numbered this stuff.
See?
But
the numbers.
Yeah, I know. Usually I would if I was in a hurry. Anyway, getting back to it, I also created a logo for my son in his workshop, quote unquote. If you guys followed me long enough, I built for last Christmas a workbench for him for inside. Has dog holes in there. He has his own hammers. He has a drawer.
Nice.
He goes in there, he hammers away and everything. We recently went out in the workshop and we did a whole bunch of, little workshop stuff. We started off making a scrap serving tray cutting board out of scraps. We got them all flat. We got them, glued together. And, let that glue overnight. And then I have these little trays for ice that I use for my leftover epoxy.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we took those and used the performance epoxy from Totalboat and put some black diamond pigments in there, mixed it up, filled those up, and made a whole bunch of little R2D2s and like the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that we're going to put magnets in and use them for the fridge.
Cool.
So it was like a little shop time for me and him. But during that time, when we finished his cutting board, I'm like, we're going to have to put a logo on there. And I just doesn't feel right to put mine on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a logo for him. And we lasered it on. And then I took his hammers, I lasered it on them. And now I'm going to make a little sign for his workbench. I think he'll have, his name and workshop and his little logo on there.
Nice.
That's what I got going on in my shop. A lot going on in just a little time before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what do you have going on in your shop?
Well, I say it all the time, but I got flags. It seems like I get a few done and then I get more orders for more of them. Currently, I think I'm still, even with some that are getting out of the shop, I think I'm still at like 15 that need to get done or something like that. There's some other ones in there. I had another Makers Never Forget one that I had to build quick because a fire department that wasn't getting back to me finally got back and said, we would love to, accept the flag. So I had to quick make one because now I was giving the one I made for them to another fire department. Whole long thing, literally. Both fire departments called me within 5 minutes of each other and was like, hey, we want to accept the flag. We've just been real busy. And then the next one calls me and says, hey, we're really sorry for never reaching out. We got your message, and when can you deliver it? So now I'm in crunch time, and actually the flag will be done probably tomorrow. So I kind of put my nose to the grindstone, got it all stained, painted with the stars, and then clear coated twice tonight. And then got to just sign it and whatnot. You got a question, sir?
Yeah, I do. What's your turnaround? I don't want to put you on the spot here for any of your clients listening, but if I said I needed a flag and I need it as fast as you can make it, what's the turnaround for that? What could you have these down to a science? I see you building these things and knocking them out left and right. I'm just curious if that was the only flag you needed to do. How long would it take?
One that's called Instagram Magic. I can save everything and then post it all at once, so it looks like it's in a day's time. See, you got to use your noggin. No, I would say roughly about 17 and a half weeks if you needed a flag.
Okay, 17 and a half weeks. I'll mark down the calendar. It actually makes sense now.
It's like give or take like a couple days. That's all. No, in reality, my biggest issue is it's weather permitting because I grind the flags all outside. I did it once, and I'm saying this to everybody. I ground out a flag once in my shop, and I will never do it again. Ever. I was using the Arbortech turbo plane, and it gave off chunks. Those chunks or shards of wood were everywhere. I'm still finding them to this day, and that was at least, that was probably way early in the year. So
why don't you do it in your paint enclosure that you have?
I did that one time too, and it was more of a pain because there's no door on it, so I had to take a tarp and clamp it to the outside, and I couldn't move around. It's too small to stand in, so it was just more of a pain than anything. It's just nice to do it outside, and in all honesty, I have an easy up tent, 10 by 10 pop-up tents. Mm-hmm. So one time I was actually outside, I was doing some flags, and next thing I know, I feel a few raindrops. So I grabbed the tent and I was able to grind the rest of the flags out because I wanted to get them done. I'm like, well, I'm here now. I'm set up. Let me just utilize the tent. And it worked out fine. So technically, if it's raining, I could do that. But it was like, now I have to go and set everything up. I was already set up, so all I had to do was just throw the tent out there. But in reality, if I put my time and effort, are we talking days, normal days with my regular job?
I'm talking if you had a
crunch time,
a week off.
Okay, so week off, I can get that flag done in that week, no problem, because I could. But there's a lot of science to it because I have to. Once I get the 2x4s, they have to rest in the shop. Once I cut the 2x4, they got to rest again. Once I rip the 2x4s down to their size, they got to rest again. Then I glue, which is another day. So there's a lot of rest time in there that in actuality, do you need to do that? I don't really know, because I'm battling something. I'm battling a wood movement and warping on me. Each time I make a 3-foot flag, they want a cup. And I'll sometimes cut the wood, I'll glue it up immediately. I'll cut the wood, I'll let it rest for a couple days. And it's sometimes I still get the same result. I think it's just the stress on the wood from getting ground out that's making them cup. And, maybe there's internal tension that got released because now I ground them. And my waves are getting a lot deeper now. So I'm going really heavy on the carves, not so much that they're, just these subtle waves. I'm doing really, really deep carves. And I'm thinking that since you have like a chunk of wood and then the wave goes down to almost nothing, I'm thinking that it's giving it a lot of room to bow, or, let more tension on certain pieces move it.
Well, as much as I do, wood movement is something we battle no matter what. I've dealt with it. You dealt with it. You, the listener, I'm sure you've dealt with it at some point in time. And now using pine 2x4s, that is another. You're going to have wood movement. It's smart to let them rest, I believe, because you're giving that chance for them to release that moisture, acclimate to your workshop, especially after cutting them or grinding them. Because then at least you're going to see the wood movement and not be completely done and have a flag that's touching, end to end. I believe that's a very smart move on your part. Like I said, we've all learned, and I think that's, the way you're doing it. I don't think there's a better way to necessarily do it.
If I didn't have to wait, so I mean, if you got, let's just say I already had the 2x4s in the shop, so then I cut them, I let them rest, then I cut them again, let them rest, glue them, let them, glue up. I mean, that's 3 days right there. So it feels very unproductive because I'm not doing much. I'm just waiting. And then, so if I had a blank and I had to go out there, carve it, stain it, paint the stars, and then clear coat it, I could probably get the carving, and the carving would be a day, stain would be a day, and then the stars. Yeah, you're looking at a week's time. If I had to rush and really hoof on it.
Yeah.
So
I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, and maybe even when we're doing the Instagram live, but have you started getting a bunch of 2x4s, cutting the strips, basically getting a whole bunch prepped? That way you can alleviate that entire rest period that you usually have to wait on. Do you have any in stock like that? Or you just been so busy you're not able to keep up to that point?
Well, yeah, that I was gonna touch on that a little bit, but now you're forcing my hand, sir. But no, I would love to do that. Well,
the listeners want to know.
Here's the problem. I could make. I want to do some stock blanks so I have them, and I want to also have them already carved out so that they're ready. But here's the problem. I'm getting more people who want insignias on them. Something CNC'd on them, but they still want a wavy flag. So what I have to do is I have to leave a flat spot so that the CNC can go on there. So I can make blank before I even carve it, but the only issue is I can make, 5 3-footers and then let's just say 2 2-footers, and I'll have 5 people who want 2-footers. If I reverse it, I'll have 5 people who want 3-footers and no 2-footers. It's the nature of the beast. At some point when I slow down, then I will get them cut and then glued and keep blanks to the side. So all I have to do is I have to bring it outside, carve it, because that's the smartest way to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll go to a Home Depot and buy a whole ton of 2x4s, let them rest in the shop, and then just get to cutting. I actually had to, Kim and I both looked at each other and said, we have to stop orders. If it's not something quick, like, a bottle opener or something like that, I can't do it right now. That's how backed up I am with orders.
I totally understand that. Now, one last question. This is not an interview, I promise.
It is.
It might be.
And this isn't, but, I just want you to know this is not on our notes. I don't have this written down.
No, it's not. I'm legitimately curious on this. You're using 2x4s, and the wood prices have skyrocketed because of COVID-19. Now, out of curiosity, and feel free to decline answering this, but has your prices changed due to this?
No. No, they unfortunately have not. The way I priced it already, I've been told multiple times that I'm priced way too low by a lot of better makers than I am. And a lot of, like they have more knowledge on pricing than I do because I'm still winging it. Even if I do the 3 times the amount of material plus 10%, that's still lower than I'm pricing it. My thing is I'm putting a lot of time into it and, I got to pay myself. So I am covering my material plus some, but am I really getting the exact amount that I should be? No, not at all. And even if I raise the prices, they really wouldn't go too sky high, just because of the influx of, inflation of the pricing. I'll say it here. It's all over every, social media. But, my 3-foot wavy flag, right now I'm selling them. I have them listed for $150. That's really cheap, to be honest, for the amount of time and effort that goes into it. I did raise them. Somebody actually quoted or asked me for a flag. I did raise it a little bit just because I knew I was going to have to buy more wood. I kind of had stock on some of the other ones because I usually keep a whole rack filled with 2x4s because I know I need them. So I raised it like $25, so $175, and they were fine with the pricing. But in all honesty, have I done a shop wide price increase? No, I've just kind of been. A lot of my stuff is not run of the mill, so I kind of wish it was, but a lot of the stuff that I'm getting is, okay, I want an insignia plus a name. I want something carved on it. I want, this way, that way. It's not just, I want a wavy flag, 3 foot, and red, white, and blue. Done. That'd be easy.
Yeah.
Now I got to factor in if Kim's got to paint it, how complex is it, because I'm not the painter. She's the artist, I make the flags, I put the spot for her to paint on them, and then she turns them into gold. So that increases the price as well. So, but to answer your question in a whole, no, I have not really done a shop-wide increase. I have seen it go up, but I kind of been just biting the bullet and hoping for the best right now. And I'm making do. Like I said, my pricing isn't so far down that it's hurting me. I'm still covered. So one flag covers my expense of the wood, the glue, the sandpaper, the stain, and all that put together.
Yeah. Well, at least, you factor that into your prices enough where you can maintain the same prices.
So, I also didn't want to, in my eyes, some of those flags I should be charging $250, $300 for just because of the time going into it. But in reality, if I told somebody that price, if they really, really, really wanted it, they would pay it. But the thing is, I want to get my name out there. I'm still new to this whole thing. I'm picking up, so I want to keep it low and slowly increase instead of going, hey, they used to be $150 and now they're $4,000. So you have to accept this price increase. So,
well, that's the thing, man, is from outside perspective, I've seen, when I first met you, your production, what you were putting out. I would venture to say you're doing, 3 times, 4 times what you used to in the beginning of this year, end of last year. Maybe that's exaggerating a little bit, but I don't think very much. Like, I remember in the beginning you were talking about doing a flag or 2, but now you're doing I have 14 flags in the queue.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of flags. That's a lot of work that you're, putting into that shop after your day job, after the housework. You know what I'm saying? So, you definitely earn the price that you put on those flags, be it a lower price because you want to do that low and slow growth or, that 4,000 tag.
Oh, yeah.
You might not get as much, but you never know.
Like I said, flags, I got CNC projects still. I want to also learn SketchUp. I'm actually watching a video right now by Steve Ramsey that I want to learn SketchUp. What?
I know SketchUp.
You do? Well, I'm watching a video online. I sat on my couch. I popped it up. Do you have a YouTube video on it?
No.
So anyway, I'm trying to learn SketchUp. For actually,
thanks.
No problem. I'll message you later. For a build that I just got a random phone call on the other night that this gentleman met me about a year and change ago when I first made that coffee table for Kim's parents, we were having a garage sale at their house. I had the coffee table sitting outside with a little poster, these are the things that I make, here's my number, blah, blah, blah. He calls me up and says, hey, I know it's random, but would you be able to build a bathroom vanity for us? He wants it built out of oak. And I've never built a bathroom vanity. I've seen some videos. He sent over some pictures of it that they kind of have a rough idea on what they want. I'm actually reaching out to a buddy of mine. Well, not a buddy, but really a close Instagram friend. But it's Christian Tierno over at Tiernowoodworking. He builds cabinets. Oh, geez, I hit the mic. He builds cabinets all day long. So I'm going to reach out to him.
Noob.
Thanks. Can't believe I just hit the mic. I'm talking about pen clicks and I'm hitting mics. Anyway, I'm going to reach out to Christian and just run it by him because I want to see the best way to build this. Just from his point of view. Like I said, this is what he does. He builds big built-ins, so I know he's the guy to talk to about it. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm interested to see if I can get the build. If I can price it out right for them, if I can make it the exact way they want it, and be able to build that. I mean, there's somebody local, so that would be pretty cool. Like I said, I stop my orders unless it's something small, and I also have a coffee cup rack that I talked about last time. And they do want it painted, so it's going to be pine exterior. Here's one of two ways. I'm thinking maybe because it's just going to be a square box with dowels. So I'm thinking either pine or ash. I think I might do ash, and maybe instead of paint, I might stain. Like either pick up some India ink and do that, or I'll use that Varathane ebony that I have for the thin red line, thin blue line flags that I use, and go that route instead of paint. It'll still give it that dark finish. I mean, that stuff is literally jet black. So I'm thinking ash only to make it more structurally sound because the pine that I just picked up from Home Depot was not good at all. I know their pine is not good. I know I'm not reaching new heights on this one, but I was cutting into it, and literally, I started cutting, and it was like I threw the piece out because it was bowing on me so bad. The tension that was in that board was making these pieces go wonky. I mean, one clamped right onto the riving knife. Luckily, I have the riving knife. One was bowing in the center, so it was actually pulling away from the fence on the table saw. Some gnarly stuff. It's their regular 1x material. I bought a 1x12, and I've had issues with it many times in the past, but I was able to weed through the boards, kind of figure it out. I don't know what was in this board. I looked, there was no knots, no nothing, but there was some kind of tension in there that it didn't like. And once you started cutting, you really noticed it. So I think I'm going to do ash on the outside, and at least I know it'll be a good wood to make it with, and the grain will show up nice too.
I think for the most part, once I get rid of all the pine in my shop, unless a customer really wants me to use pine for a particular reason, I think I'm going to just move to ash, or poplar for some of the projects I'm doing.
Actually, this bathroom vanity, it's a small one. They want it out of oak.
Yeah.
Now I looked at my hardwood dealer that I deal with, Boardsandbeams, and the price of ash compared to the price of oak for a 1x4 was, I think, almost like $2 difference. So I'm thinking if I can build it out of ash, one, it'll save them money. It's still a good wood because they also want it stained. So it's not like they want the color of oak.
Okay. Yeah, you might be able to save them some money by going with ash because it has the grain structure much like oak does. And if it's going to be stained anyway, they won't notice that it's not oak. Obviously, I would tell them, but I mean, if they want oak because it's a hardwood, ash is hard as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a great alternative. That's a great idea.
Since I found, I started using ash, it's kind of like my secondary. Of course, my 2x4s I use for my wavy flags. But I'm really trying to transition all my flat flags to ash. One, it's cheap, and it's a hardwood. So I can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it tools well. So, I know we've talked about ash, many, many times before. But I truly believe that I'm going to do exactly what they wanted, was oak. So I'm going to price it out in oak, and I'm going to price it out in ash, give them the difference, and let's see what they want to do. Now, if they're dead set on oak, then oak it is. But I just got to get some things down. I want to, like I said, I'm learning SketchUp so I can do that because I can't draw. So I figured SketchUp is easy or easier than drawing. And so, So anyway, I know I ranted and raved about my stuff. So let's move on to a topic, sir.
Well, you've been saying that you have all these flags and all these projects coming in. I'm just curious in how you're racking and stacking your client list and your project list to make sure you keep them straight.
Well, it's funny. My orders used to be all in my head. Excuse me. All in my head. And then they turned into on a whiteboard in my shop. Then they turned into a spreadsheet on my phone. Then that wasn't working out. So I just picked up a dedicated notebook that all my orders, as I get them, are going to go in there. I'm going to write them in pencil in case I got to, erase something or whatnot. And then I'm going to keep a red pen with me so I can make any corrections along the way, if something changes or it's complete. And I think that's going to keep me more organized. So then I can flip through the things. I'll have the dates. It's going to be in date order. So as they come through, I'll write a new one in. I'll have all their info. And one of my biggest things was I could never remember where I talked to this person. Instagram, Facebook, text message, phone call. So Kim told me, she's like, write down where you started talking to them. So I keep, Instagram, Facebook. So at least now I can go back and I'll even write down their usernames, just so in case it's not their name, then you can reference it. So, but yeah, that's how I keep track of my customer orders. And it's new. I literally just started it only a couple days ago. So I'm going to see how well that works out. And hopefully it's, a good method to my madness over here. And how about you?
Well, in the past, we've used Excel for past orders, material costs, kind of be able to track stuff, as closely as possible to what we're doing. But, sometimes that falls through and, we forget to update it, forget to, get the material costs, whatever. So my wife's a big help on this. She keeps me pretty straight on who needs to be talked to, what project's up next. We only want to do a couple projects at a time, so we're not interfering with the progress, because I've done the whole 6 projects at a time, trying to knock them all out at the same time. It's just craziness. It's hard to keep them straight. It's hard to get them done in a timely fashion because one project you might get stuck on a little bit longer. So we kind of ramp down that a little bit, 2 to 3 orders around the same time is okay, depending on how large they are. I would like to probably use a whiteboard, but I have no wall space. The 2 to 3 projects at a time is very easy for me to keep track. I have a shop journal, much like yourself. And with new projects, especially, I write down dimensions. I write down, what I did with it. I write down the process, and that's come in handy with one exception. So the hammers that I did, I made an error in one of the notes, and I actually made them a little smaller, which in the end they liked. Like, it's still 6 pounds and 7 ounces of greatness. It's a little bit smaller as far as the hammerhead, but it's the same height. And for them, it works out perfect because the commander and the first shirt have the bigger hammer by a couple inches, and everyone else is going to be getting the smaller version. I mean, mine's a little all over the place. I have the journal, I have my wife, and, when we get to it, the Excel product. Eventually, I would like to settle down on something that's dedicated and easier for us to access and updates instantaneously. But the shop journal definitely helps me. I do like your idea about when they first contacted you, write that date down and what platform. Because traditionally, historically, I get a lot of customers from Facebook. Recently, though, I've been getting a lot on Instagram, and it's kind of been messing with my flow because, I'll be like, "Where's that message?"
Oh yeah,
and it takes me a little bit longer to get back to them because I honestly I'm looking for the message on Facebook when it's really on Instagram. I'm still learning. I'm trying to figure out the best method for myself. So if anyone out there has a suggestion or program or something, an app they can use that works really well, let us know. We like to hear it.
And I will let you know on update. Well, I'll update you on how the notebook for me is turning out. Because I know I since I just got it a couple of days ago, I got to continue to fill it out. And I actually want to try the laser on that 3D printer that I got because it's a leather outside. So I want to see if I can etch the my logo into it and then go from there.
Absolutely can, but it'll smell horrible in the shop.
Yeah, I'm going to have to bring it outside. Yeah, good thing because it's in my back room. So I definitely won't be able to do it in there. I could just put it outside real quick, let it do its thing. Neighbors will think I'm weird.
It's not so bad where you're going to need air out the entire house, but it definitely has a unique smell to it.
Yeah, I bet. I know that this is on everybody's mind, and especially the the lovely wife of mine who's sitting in the other room listening because she came up with this question for us. What is on your Christmas list for pretty much anything, I mean, I don't need to know about, those special pair of underwear that you really, really want or something like that, or a pair of socks. More shop.
Well, that's the problem. My wife yells at me for it because she'll be like, what do you want for Christmas? And it's shop, 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 shop. I forget who I was talking to. I think it was Kumo from Kumos.workshop. And he was saying something, and I said, woodworking is life. And he's like, wow. And it is. I mean, like, when I think of stuff that I want, it's all shop stuff. It's not anything but. Not clothes, not this, not that, anything.
Yeah.
But on my wish list is, obviously, I would like a table saw. I've been looking at the Ridgid only because I've seen one on Facebook Marketplace, and it's for a decent price. It would be nice to have, a full-size table saw. So what I have, there's not issues with it. You can work around them. But again, it's one of those tools where, like, do you want to work around it, or do you just want to bite the bullet, get something that's going to last you for quite a while, and you can work with it much easier.
Yeah.
Just kind of holding off on it. If they lower the price anymore, it might happen. We'll just put it out there. And then, we talked about this too. I was trying to look for a tool brand. I was trying to determine, where I kind of wanted to land on that. And looking around, all the prices are pretty comparable. And I already have a lot of DeWalt tools. I already have the batteries for them. I already have the charger for them. So I think I'm going to jump in that gene pool and just kind of keep with the yellow brand. So, I would like to get rid of my Skill power tools that, have the traditional plug-in and go with, a jigsaw that was battery operated, oscillating tool. Maybe the new drill and driver they have. They're a little bit smaller, easier to work with, get in tighter spaces. And the ones I have are quite old.
Yeah.
Like I got them back in like 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not ancient, but they're like, I've used them heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And then, blades for the shop. I need to change out my blades, and getting those would definitely help.
Oh, Lowe's is running a special on Spyder.
What? Really? I haven't seen that yet.
I know that they got some of their smaller. I'm sorry to really cut you off and put the brakes on, but speaking of blades, I bring it up every single time we're on here. Spyder blades or Spyderproducts, their blades are great. I love it on my miter saw. The 12-inch blade cuts fantastic every single time through hardwoods, softwoods, pine. I know I just had to add that in there. But anything you throw at it, it cuts right through it without hesitation, and it won't break the bank.
Now, they probably do. And I'm just curious, though. Do they have the thin kerf blades as well?
I would think so, but I don't believe the one I have is a thin kerf. I just got their traditional, 1/8 inch and let it fly. But I have not looked deep enough.
Yeah, I was just interested to see if they did. I might have to take a look at that. But, blade for my miter saw, my table saw, and then for my track saw as well. It'd be nice to kind of upgrade those blades, better cuts, less work in the end process. And then, either a 2.5 horsepower router from Bosch or, another Palm router that's battery operated. And I'd probably get that from the DeWalt side just because I already, like, again, have the batteries for those. Do I need any of the things listed? Of all those, I probably need the blades the most. Everything else is like a dream sheet.
Mhm.
Like, I've had a lot of tool upgrades. I've had a lot of tools. I'm very thankful. My wife listens to this podcast, so thank her for allowing me to buy the stuff I bought. But, you know, we're wishing, right?
Yeah.
So what's your wish list, man? Do you want that saw stop?
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna probably like blow your mind on this one, but I'm looking. Hopefully Santa can carry this. I'm really, really hoping so. But I would really like, and this is gonna just hold on to your chair, please. Don't fall off when I say this. But I really would like a Laguna 8-inch joiner. She's not listening at all.
Where are you going to put that?
I'll find room. I will find room. I've watched some videos from, Dan and Pete using theirs. Mike has used theirs. Mike over at Coffeycustombuilds. Pete over at Ptreesworkshop, and Dan over at Danieldunlap's Woodwork. It looks just so smooth cutting. I mean, it's no effort. I just watched Pete's stories a couple days ago about him running some wood through it, and it just looks like a dream. It's just, compared to the Craftsman joiner that I got downstairs with these straight blades, and man, it just seems so nice. Nice joiner. But anyway, I can't fit it.
Honestly, any 6-inch joiner, and if you got the helical head, it would cut probably not as well, but it would cut, pretty good, silent, and be cheaper in the purse or wallet, whatever you decide to carry.
Santa just doesn't bring you gifts? But isn't that how it happens? I really thought he came down the chimney. I don't.
He has to buy the parts.
Yeah, but he's Santa. I thought he's magical. He's got a reindeer with
so
a
much
red
magic
nose.
could buy.
It's not a light bulb on his nose. He's magic.
Those light bulbs are only good for so many hours.
It's LED. He went to the LED.
Upgrade.
Yes, he went to Home Depot. He went to the section. He said, look, I need a Rudolph red nose light bulb. And they said, don't worry, bro. We got you. And they threw the bottle opener at him. It hit him. It went into the pool. Luckily, it was coated with Totalboat Halcyon. And then next thing you know, he got an LED light bulb for Rudolph's red nose.
And he was like, hey, bro, thanks, man.
Yes. And then Santa walked out. He said, hey, bro, thanks. He bought me a Laguna 8-inch joiner and then came home, he dropped it through the chimney. That's not how it works.
Ho, ho, ho. It might. Who knows? It's beyond me. I mean, it's magic. It's Santa. It's Rudolph. I mean, what do we know of the inner workings of the North Pole?
I don't. I know nothing about it except, like I said, I thought Santa was like sponsored by everybody, and so he just got free stuff.
It's possible. That should make a lot of sense.
Right? I mean, you don't see the elves getting paid. Why are we going down this road?
Because we're talking about wish lists,
Jesus.
talking about Christmas, and we're talking about the three amigos that are from Another Woodshop podcast, Daniel Dunlap, Mike Coffey, and Peter Kapar.
Anyway, yes, we were talking about those three guys with the Laguna joiners. And like I said, I mean, this is far into the future of mine. But it would just make it would make it more pleasurable to want to joint wood. Because right now I got to roll out the little 6-inch joiner. It's noisy. It's a beast. I know that Pete calls his planer the Banshee because it's so loud. Well, that's kind of the same thing with this joiner. Same one I believe you got.
No, he has a newer version than I got. I got like the lunchbox one.
Oh.
Now that could be called the Banshee.
Okay.
The one he has is like the Cadillac.
Damn.
I have the little bug.
Nice. All right. Well, anyway, I know when I'm jointing on that Craftsman joiner, I mean, it works. It does its job if you make sure it's set up right, like I've learned in the past. To always check your fence at 90 because, why would it always stay at 90? I thought it would. Well, clearly it doesn't. And I've run into some issues with that. But no, to be honest, a real Christmas wish list would be, I guess, the Ryobi 18-gauge brad nailer, the cordless one. And the Ryobi stuff is coming up. I mean, it's really quality stuff compared to where they used to be. I mean, everyone had it. It was something that homeowners always had. It was the homeowners kind of edition. But now you see even more pros using it. Guys who you would think, be heavily into Milwaukee, DeWalt, certain big guy brands, like the big top dogs are using Ryobi and loving it. And honestly, if you look at Ryobi's tool line, they got a ton of stuff, and a ton of stuff that neither DeWalt nor Milwaukee has. And it's interesting to see, all the big companies, what the difference is between them. You'd almost think if one comes out with one, the next one would come out with it, to compete. Mm-hmm. But some they have these random tools that you would never think you'd need until you see it and you go, well, I wish my tool company had that. So now, of course, you have to go to a different brand. But if I got the nailer, I would only need, a couple batteries, and then it would only be one tool. So I wouldn't mind having an extra battery.
But that's how they get you. You're going to get the couple batteries, you're going to get the charger, and then you're going to be like, oh, whoa, the palm router, it catches my eye. And the only reason I haven't got it,
because you don't have batteries.
Is because it doesn't come with a battery and charger.
There you go.
If that pack came with a battery and charger, it would have been in my cart a long time ago.
Yeah, I know that's how they get you. I know they're all in cahoots. I know that everybody talks to everybody and says, look, we got to sell people tools, and here's this guy who wants this, so just you got to sell it to him. But I'm trying to really think if there's anything else. I mean, maybe a Festool domino.
Oh, we're dreaming big. Well, I want a Festool domino. I want a Merca sander. You know what I'm saying?
Merca's still on order.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you still have one. I mean, I just replaced my the pad for my DeWalt ROS because I was sanding, and I'm like, man, I have to change out, my sandpaper because it's not doing anything. And I look, and somewhere along the line when I was sanding, the piece of sandpaper flew off, and there was no hook and loop on there. Wow. I was like, and I started trying it, and I literally turned it upside down, pushed on, and it took 3 seconds. And all of a sudden, the sandpaper just fly off, and I'm like, it's time to replace this pad.
Yeah, I think you wore that pad out.
Well, it has a lot of time on there because when I bought it, I've done refinishing tables. I've done a lot of sanding since then. And interesting to note on that is if you use just a hook and loop, like an old one, it scuffs up and raises the grain really well. So I'm actually keeping it because if I ever get a project I want to do that to, I can go ahead, throw that on there and just use that to really, bring out the grain and rough it up.
Wow. Well, I didn't know that. You lying to me?
I found out the hard way. No, I'm serious. Because when I got done, I'm trying to find out where I left off and all this.
Yep.
And it was nice and smooth. And then all of a sudden, you can tell the difference in the grain was kind of raised up a little bit. If I was going to stain it or something and make it rustic or something, it would have worked perfectly. But that's not the look I was going for. I needed it smooth, so I had to go back, and it was becoming an issue.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. So talking about the guys over at Another Woodshop podcast, Mike Coffey is Coffeycustombuilds on Instagram. He's doing a raffle with Jonathan Katz-Moses for the Katz-Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund. I wanted to bring this up on the podcast, to give everybody a heads up for it. So head over to Coffeycustombuilds, click on his link in his profile. It'll bring you to the raffle. The raffle tickets are $10, and it's going to a great cause. I know myself and Josh are going to be doing it. It's really awesome what they're doing. The raffle is for a charcuterie board that Mike is going to build, and if you read it, it says he can engrave it with the winner's name or whatever you'd like on it. So, but just head over to Coffeycustombuilds, click that link, and give $10 for this great cause.
We also wanted to take a moment and thank a couple of the sponsors. Totalboat, a great company. They have great products, a lot to choose from. Their staff is extremely helpful. If you have a question, you can reach out to them. They'll point you in the right direction. We're just receiving your order from them. You're going to get a whole bunch of mixing cups. You're going to get some foam brushes, mixers, filters, depending on what you order. It's a great company. Their products are just outstanding. I love using all their epoxy. I use it for different reasons with my son, for cutting boards, for tables. 101 uses for their products.
Oh, yeah.
Another company we like to thank is StickerBeat. If you haven't experienced StickerBeat stickers, it's next level. You need to go out and order you some. They come with a Peel Here tab. They also are 3M vinyl, which allows you to stick them to pretty much any surface, and they just stick.
Oh, yeah.
I have some on my water bottle, my coffee mugs. They go through the dishwasher.
Wow.
And I haven't had one peel off yet. I have them on my laptop, and this is like, they get a little worn, which they have not. I could peel it off, it leaves no residue. Now, if you would like to go order from them, you can use our Sawdust Nation discount code, which is Sawdust Nation. No spaces.
Yeah, no spaces. I learned the hard way.
And with that, man, I think we should wrap this one up.
Definitely. And, you know, if you'd like to get in contact with us with any topic ideas, any questions you have, you can reach myself over at Crafted and NJ. You could reach the tired guy that I'm looking at rubbing his face. That's Josh over at North Country Woodworking. Or you could even send either a voice message, or you can send it in a written form to the Sawdust Nation podcast on Instagram. And the last one, we can also receive those new things called emails over at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. It's a new technology, way new. It's almost like a letter that comes in the mail, but I'm not sure.
Is that like the interwebs and the tube, the U tube?
It is. It's the intratubes. Yes, that is 100%.
Inner tubes.
Intratube. It's the intratubes. Anyway, and then also, before Josh steals my thunder like he always does, if you listen on Apple Podcast, then give us a 5-star review. It ranks us higher. Then we get, higher up there. Then more people see us. We get to expose the Sawdust Nation. And no. We don't expose the Sawdust Nation. The Sawdust Nation is gifted to new listeners, and then they get to experience what you guys have been experiencing with Josh and I, and this lovely banter that we have back and forth, and these rabbit holes that we go down. And so leave us a 5-star review, leave a comment, that you really want Josh's cat on the podcast. I haven't mentioned that in a few episodes. One, I think.
It was almost this one. I was wondering.
So anyway, yes. And like I said, if you have a question, topic, send it our way. We will touch on it in one of the episodes. We write everyone down so that, in case we don't get to it in one episode, we will touch on it in the next one. So just don't think, it gets written down, crumpled up, and thrown away after the episode. I keep a track of this, and my notes are neater than Josh's.
He had more time to write his. Don't judge me.
We were writing at the same exact time. I was saying Josh was writing. Josh was saying I was writing. I don't know. Organization, my friend. I think we'd have to touch on that one day. I had to tell you how to get organized, because I'm the king of organization. If you have not seen my shop lately, stuff is everywhere.
I lose sleep over organization.
I'm just joking. I'm not organized at all. So anyway, with that, I don't know if you got any final words.
No final words today.
Nothing. That's it.
Oh, actually, you know what? Thank you for listening to the Sawdust Nation podcast. Thank you for being part of the nation. We want you to share the nation. Post on Instagram, post on Facebook. Tell your friends. More people that know, the more people are part of the nation. Use the hashtag Sawdust Nation. Let us know what you're doing out there. We love to see what you guys are working on, what you're producing, what you're making. Because in the end, we're all creators. We're all makers. Mm-hmm. Tag him and myself in it to get our attention right away, and use the hashtag Sawdust Nation. With that, you got anything to say, my friend?
Yes, him is AJ over at Crafted and NJ, just so everyone knows. And for that, I'm going to sign off and say, good night, everybody. I love you, and I love everybody. Bye-byes.
And the other him is North Country Woodworking, Josh, Sawdust Nation, out.
Come over here and help Grandma make her Christmas list.